Hey, everybody been sorting through my papers lately looking for this, and it took a long time, but I'm glad I did because I don't have the revisions saved electronically. I need to back up my shit better in case there's a fire, but I want to read chapter one of my novel in progress, uh, called Pigs at the Trough, based mostly on my 11-year waiting on tables career, which was often very stressful. Starts with an epitaph. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. John Keats. Peggy Martinez zipped into the waitress aisle, her pink ponytail whisking side to side. Multiple urgencies cast stones for her attention. Her section was brimming with the hungry and the pissed. Her armpits were soaked. Fuck Pope Joe. Nutty fuck sits and leers at my tits pretending to sip coffee. No one drinks that slow. She shuffled through her ticket orders, attempting to make sense of them. Table 56. Pork chops and liver. Shit, I punched that in 20 minutes ago. And where the fuck are the spaghetti dinners for 58? Peggy sucked in a mouthful of air tasting like greasy onion rings, licked her ticket-flipping finger, and gazed in resignation at the next overdue order. God damn it! I don't want to get donkey brains to deal with this. Hey, watch out! Larry bore past her, sweating and mumbling. He twisted his tray to avoid colliding with Mary, the hostess, dropping French fries and F-bombs before vanishing into a fat, cacophonous fog of flapping arms and accusing voices. Peggy, hailed Mary, slouching from the burden of menus stacked heavy and thick as two phone books under each arm. You have a four-top waiting? But Mary, Peggy glanced out at the eaters. A baby screamed. Ominous clang of a dropped fork. Chewing faces of the swine. Forget it. I can't show my face out there empty-handed. She walked up to the kitchen window. In order to see the cooks, she extended her 5-foot height by standing on tiptoes. Fred kept his back turned, slopping cheese sticks onto hidden plates. Two gray smudged handprints glared from the gorilla-strong shoulders of his grease-blotched, untucked smock. Fred was in a zone. He was methodical in his sloppiness, took his work as a serious charge, and hated to be interrupted. Dale, sweating at the grill, glanced up at Peggy through pink slits in his eye bags, wearing the hunched, glazed look of a man wanting to kill himself, but lacking the guts. My God. Peggy's heart turned to mush and dripped at the misery. Dale's mouth twitched like that of a hooked fish. He looked down and flipped another patty, charred and shrunk to a miniature hockey puck. Peggy steeled her courage, cleared her throat. Fred? Arrgh! Fred kept his back to her, his bristles buzz-cut glistening and ruddy scalp skin beating under the heat lamps. He shoved his meaty paw into a cubbyhole below, yanked out a pile of plates, and clanked them onto the countertop. Onto each he plopped careless fistfuls of cheese sticks, several of which ricocheted off, joining the other mashed inedibles on the floor. Fred? Fred? You have anything for me? Please? Fred stopped working. He gripped the edges of the mounted cutting board and disconcertingly rocked on his feet from soles to toe tips. Peggy was transfixed by the cold, autistic back-and-forth rhythm. Silent and neck-knotted, Fred fixed his gaze to the dull steel of the grill's upright, grease-catching extension. Rocking to and fro, the squeals of his heavy, swollen shoes sliced through the rushed kitchen clamor like a scythe through living gristle. Look, Fred, Peggy sighed. I don't want to get donkey brains again, but tip money doesn't grow on trees, you know, please. Humph! With preternatural quickness, Fred wheeled around, his sharp Adam's apple bobbing up and down its red-necked length, his ice-cube eyes glowering with gray hate, his frown tight and crooked from teeth biting hard and deep on the inner cheek. He lifted a plate of limp onion rings, mashed down with half the breading gone, exposing unappetizing tubes of rubbery yellow. Curling his closed lips into a smirk, he cocked his wrist and flicked the plate across the counter towards Peggy's face. She jerked her hand up just in time to avoid a broken nose. Thanks, Fred, said Peggy. placing the scattered onion rings as neatly as she could back onto the plate. "You've taught me patience, and for the record, I want you to know that not only am I not afraid of you," she slowed her enunciation, "no one is. You're the punchline of our jokes, demeaning jokes. Have a nice life, Neanderthal." "Huh?" Fred said. Peggy seized the plate, started walking away, and lifted her voice. "That means you're subhuman, sweetie. You should seek out others of your own kind. You'd be happier." "No little wetback bitch gonna talk to me like that." Peggy set the plate down on the beverage expediting counter and stuck fingers in her ears. "Blah, blah, 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 blah. Ears open only to Homo sapiens, Fred." "Be careful, Peg." The timid voice belonged to Robert. The glass racks screeched as he yanked them out of their metal slots. Greasy ropes of black hair whipped from underneath his work cap. "Don't want Fred walking out, Peg. Don't want donkey brains in the kitchen again. That would be hell." "Oh, Robert." Peggy surveyed the carnage as other servers crowded and clamored for drinks. Hot vapors streamed from the just-washed glasses. Sweating, Robert pressed a glass against the Coke dispenser. It hissed with sick crackling. Robert cursed, then turned to the bus tub on the floor, brimming full with broken glasses, adding the latest ruin. His face a white flag with darkly suffering "why me" hole-punched eyes. Peggy yanked on her bangs, not dreaming. We're in hell already. She considered the sad plate of onion rings. "Sorry, table 60. She tried to pray, but the chewing and chortling of the pigs at their table troughs made that impossible. How can I retain my integrity tonight? How can I deliver this shit to people without—" More crackling glass. Peggy felt a stabbing in her head, then it was gone, replaced by a thought. "Robert," she said, "put a knife in the glass before filling it. The metal acts as a conductor to the heat. It won't crack." Now, where did that come from? Robert took the suggestion, and it worked. "You just saved me from a meltdown, Peg," Robert said, lifting 4 drinks to the counter. "So you get served first. Here's 60's order." Peggy smiled and shrugged, centering the drinks and onion rings on a tray. "How did I know? I've never heard that." She glanced up at the ceiling fan thrumming loosely upon its axis, then sauntered like a sleepwalker, expressionless and unperturbed by the general mayhem, to the next workstation. Sally, the young salad girl, was struggling, her white blouse rendered diaphanous from sweat, her nipples like tight little berries budding through a red bra. She slapped at the pink and green lettuce in the bin, flashing worried looks at the overhead ticket carousel. "Got something for me, Sally?" "Yeah. Thousand Island for 60. But be careful." Sally tried to untwist her bra strap and grimaced. "Sue's looking for you." "I'll deal with donkey brains shortly," Peggy said. She adjusted her hand's position under the tray for proper balance. She breathed in, blew out. Is the bullshit worth it? Am I not worth more than a pet gerbil spinning itself to death on its toy wheel? Noises stung her ears like hot sand whipped in a desert wind. Forms brushed past, shuffles of harried, desolate co-workers, angry customers' heels clacking the floor's lacquer. Peggy started moving. At least the gerbil has fun till his little heart bursts. She stood before her section and slouched, the hostile snapping of fingers, shouts. This sucks. "Sister Peggy! Sister Peggy! The ciborium needeth filling!" "Sarah should be coming around with coffee soon, Pope Joe. I gotta go now." "Wait, dear child." He squinted at her breasts like a pilgrim upon first coming into view of Jerusalem. His pallid jowls were flapping folds of sweaty baloney. His underbit lip was puffy and trickled drool. Tufts of hair like gray weeds angled wildly about the borders of his glazed bald spot. "How long since you've partaken of the Holy Eucharist, child?" "Have some onion rings, Pope Joe." "But Sister Peggy, I didn't—" "Manna from heaven, and I'm heaven's waitress." She stayed in the moment, ignoring the near cries of seated beasts. "You're not a bad man, lonely and mad, perhaps, but you were never mean to me. And now and then you made me laugh." Joe held aloft the pitiful ring, tenderly pressed caressing its rubbery texture. Moving his lips in silence. Pray for me, Pope Joe, please. Till the third day, child, Joe trembled. Then you're on your own. Peggy's ears crackled. A tide of suns swept through her, wave upon wave, burning away the dreaminess. Her heart sizzled in her ears. Here I stand, she thought, and here I come, table 60. Her tray now weightless as she sliced against a sensate current of hostility, ice cubes tinkling glasses like summer wind chimes. She set the salad before a thin man with red, bushy arms, purple cheeks, and whiskey eyes touched by fire. Can we see your fucking manager? You know how long we've been waiting? Peggy passed out the drinks to the man, the fat wife with a baby nursing at a watermelon breast beneath her filthy t-shirt, the two little boys with NASCAR ball caps jabbing at each other with table knives. 23 minutes, sir. Listen, college sweetie pants, the wife said sardonically as the baby's fabric-shrouded body squirmed amid harsh, unpleasant suckling. We gonna eat for free. Her sole bottom tooth bit into the upper lip. The baby farted. The boys chuckled and clanked knives. You tell dat to your boss. Thank you, Peggy smiled. I've waited 1.5 years for this. Don't be thanking me, called the wife as Peggy turned to leave. You won't be thanking me in the unenjoyment line. We gonna get you fired. Thank you. Peggy bounced away, spinning her empty tray with nimble fingers and flipping it to the other hand. You're my table of angels, calling me forth to greater things. She hummed to herself all the way to Sue's office, the busy world squawking and buzzing around her. It's a movie, she mused. I'll see it that way, and enjoy the next scene, and see if I can guess what lays ahead. She stood at the office door and knocked. No reply. Peggy went around the corner and peered into the little round window. There she is, sitting on her fat donkey rump, chain smoking on the phone as usual. I'll keep my integrity. It's just a movie. Peggy rapped on the window. Sue swiveled around in her chair and screamed, "What?" Her arms raised and trembling in a violent V over her head, the phone dangling by the cord and whacking against an open desk drawer as it swung. Peggy pointed to the door. Sue mashed her cigarette into the ashtray and jerked out of her chair. The door swung open. Sue stood with hands on hips, black hair tied back in a tight bun, her nose upturned and fleshy at the tip, casting blue shadows. Pig snout, Peggy smiled. Give me one fucking reason why I shouldn't fire you right now, Sue hissed. Because I quit, donkey brains. What did you call me? No one quits on me. Get back out there to you'd be sucking dick on the streets without your daddy's business, bitch. Go wait on the hayseeds yourself and keep the tips. Oh my God, did I say that? Sue made blowing sounds. Her gray eyes darted. It's called work, Sue. Maybe it'll make you a better person. I'm finished here. Peggy handed over her table's tickets and work apron, then headed for the vestibule. Before exiting, she looked back. Sue tentatively crept past the patrons, head lowered and turning to check the table numbers. The eaters kept on eating. The unfed snorted and roared, like wild boars, Peggy thought. A loud smack. Fred's crude laughter. Sue rubbing her buttocks with a confused look on her face. More laughter. Another smack. A shout. We gonna eat for free. Sound of ripping clothes. Sue shrieked. As the restaurant erupted into hysterics, Peggy left and headed towards the bus stop. Goodbye, donkey brains.